All right, here we're special teams coordinator Ryan Smith. Coach Smith, how's the spring going so far?
It's been awesome. You know, the players, specialist-wise, the kickers doing a good job competing. I mean, we got three guys that are talented. They all got good legs, and guys who work hard. And I think the thing about them is, like, you look, they've had guys who've had success. I mean, Noah, I talk about Noah first, who pops into my mind. You know, when he kicked here in 24, he was 7 and 8. Now, he missed the PAT, which he knows. Don't miss PATs, that's unacceptable. But he was 7 and 8. He missed the kick in the bowl game in the rain, a tough kick. I mean, he was constant player of the week at UTSA. You go back, Conrad's a guy who's done good things here as well, and he's finally healthy. And that's a credit to the strength staff, Coach Baggett. They do a great job in the weight room. And Shane down at athletic training. Shane, Allie, Rachel Shiv, they're doing a good job keeping him healthy, and he's got his natural pop. He's got a talented leg. He's a good athlete. You know, Everett's tough, you know, working his butt off, the kickoff guy, and has a ton of natural talent too. And he's done a good job. And those guys have been working their butt off. You know, they go in a corner, we got two guys that are super talented. Well, I'm not saying they're all talented, but they are talented. I mean, you look at all their numbers and things like that, and they're guys who probably last year when took other guys could have transferred and went somewhere. And, you know, they stuck it out because they love being in East Carolina and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, punter-wise, Tommy's growing. He's young. I've got to remind people, you know, he's a foreign exchange student. He's a young one now. Most of those Australian guys are like 30-something years old or whatever like that. Yeah, you know, they're a little. Tommy's young, so I tell him he's a young foreign exchange student. But he's done a good job growing and developing. And I think Tommy's got a high ceiling, a bright future. And then we brought Elliott in. He was at St. Thomas up in Minnesota last season. He has a lot of success at the FCS level, and he's appreciative of being here. He's enjoying it. He's getting comfortable, getting acclimated. He hit a really nice ball the other day for 58 yards flipping the field. And Tommy's hit some 50s too, don't worry. You know, so those guys competing and doing a good job. And I think from the standpoint of the returners, those guys are working hard, catching balls, learning the rules, applying that kind of stuff, and that's fun to be a part of. And, you know, the skilled players are developing fundamentals. That's what you got to do in spring special teams. You got to develop fundamentals. If you play with great fundamentals on special teams, play with great effort, you can have a good special teams play.
Yeah, obviously you guys got to punt the ball well. You got to return the ball well. You mentioned those guys. As a special teams coordinator, how tough is it to piece together the guys who are specialists, the guys who are going to be flying down the field making the tackles on kickoff or on punt, or the guys that have to block on a return game? And how is that with you working with their position coach that, hey, I need this guy right now to go be my anti-gunner on punt return? How does that work out?
Well, I think it starts, like, you look at us, and today was a great example of it. Our coaches, like, it starts Coach Harold. Coach Harold believes in special teams. He doesn't just say, hey, go do that. Like, he's invested in it. He spends time on it. We work together on things like the fakes. Like I asked about the fakes. We work together on it. And it's good. You know, it's good. It's great to have head coaches invested in it. You'll see him doing special teams drills. And you see our staff. They always guys coach special teams drills too. I mean, there's one of me. If we have 3 drills going on, I can't coach 3 drills. And, you know, you saw like today, I mean, all those coaches were involved in it, and those guys do a great job. I mean, I could sit here and name them. They truly all do it. You know, an example of it is like Coach Hank Grant, the defensive coordinator running special teams. That doesn't happen. You know, Coach Karan's got his corners working with PBR. So I think the staff, you know, and even like our guy, Coach Tesh. You know, I love Coach Tesh. Everybody loves Coach Tesh. Coach Tesh was a special teams coordinator here. So Coach Tesh is always like, take my guys, make them the punch shield, do that. So I think the staff helps me so much with that. You know, their skills and traits you look for and you identify and you work on all those things as far as what fits a position. Because a lot of special teams play is just simple fundamental football, blocking, tackling. I mean, that's what you're teaching. And then, you know, some other stuff, like you said, anti-gunner is very similar to press as a corner. And then if you talk about a gunner covering on punt, he's got to use a release to the receiver, limit his false step, stack the guy, and then tackle, so it goes from offense to defense. So it's skill sets of what they can do in those team periods, all those kinds of things, and then you do drills. This guy could be the guy for this help, you know, mentality, all that stuff, and the staff does a great job helping you with that.
So now we'll go over to the kickers, and I appreciate that. That was very in-depth for what I thought it was going to get, so I appreciate it. You know, you mentioned Conrad, and he has gone through some ups and downs. He's, like you said, with these guys, they could have left, especially in this era of college football. And, you know, you guys kind of have, in the past, there's honestly kind of 3 positions, it feels like. You get your kickoff specialist, you have your accuracy guy, and you have your length guy. Now, one guy could be first team at all those, and there could be 3 guys, could be 2. You know, Conrad, he's competing for all these jobs. He's been successful at some of them, not as successful at others. Can you just talk about where he is knowing, and has he kind of reset and gotten into a good spot now?
Yeah, I think he's in a good place. And I hit on the health thing. I think that's critical. Like, they've done a great job in our name Dolphins with his strength and athletic training. Like, he's in a good place. He's healthy. He's the best rest he's felt. And I think, the thing about him is he could have left last year when he brought Nick in. They all could have, and he stayed, he stuck it out. And he did a good job competing with Nick for the job. He did some good stuff for us. And he kicked last year when he was redshirting some kickoffs and games and did a good job doing that. So he's in a good place moving forward. He's working hard, he's being a good teammate, he's doing those things. And he's developing in all of them that he needs to work on, because we're competing for everything. Kickoffs up for grabs, field goals up for grabs. So I think his body being in the best spot is helpful in that sense. And feeling good finally and getting recovering from his injury. So last spring, he really kicked last spring. So, it's a good spot. He's in a good place. I think all those guys are. And they're good teammates. Like they went through the thing last year. There was no bickering, there's no finger, I'm better than that guy, should be the guy. So I think that also helped them prepare for this year. It's another kicking competition.
Well, thank you for your time, Coach Smith.
Appreciate it.